Hey guys, I want to talk a little bit about re-entering a trade. Stick around. Hey traders, warm welcome to you. Right, so I've recently done a video which may well be uploaded already. If not, it's coming up soon, so make sure you are subscribed for that one, where I talked about re-entering a trade. And sometimes actually, you shouldn't really try to be too clever with a trade, like coming out, back in again, ultimately trying to job it around and get every single oscillation on the way to your target, because that's a recipe for disaster. However, there are certain circumstances, and one literally threw itself up to me last week, and I thought that is the perfect video to share with you guys about my thought process behind this. The trade idea, how it all worked out, and kind of sometimes you're thrown into this situation where you've got to act in your best interest, and very often a re-entry is in your best interest. So let's just put a bit of background to this. This is an intraday chart, and yeah, of course, as usual, guys, my little drawings aren't as pretty as some, but hey, hopefully you will see what I'm trying to get to here. So this is an intraday chart. We rallied off the open, we pushed to highs, and I kind of didn't want to participate in this rally. I didn't get involved in it. It wasn't quite what I wanted. This wasn't the setup there. And to be honest, I've kind of said to myself, at the end of the day, I don't really want to either buy a pullback. I'm pretty much going to write off the day unless we come back through the early low, which is often an intraday setup that I like to take. If we break through the first kind of 5-minute candle low, 50-minute low after pushing to highs, and start to do some business to the downside, then I will press the short regardless of the larger term trend, or the longer term trend, should I say. Rare for me to disregard it, but under these circumstances, it's one of the things that I overrule, and it's quite a nice setup and strategy. That's by the by. The point is, we've gone through this level, and now I was looking to initiate a short position. I'm not going to press short through the breakout. I want to see how it performs. Starts to flag at the lows, and I start to enter here. So my initial entry's here, and I'm short. And my plan is to scale out into pulses to the downside with a final target of here, which happened to be a prior day's low. And I'm looking, and I've got orders literally staggered under that low to take advantage of the flush. So the pure classical setup, looking for a reversal. We've reversed. Now looking to carry on the momentum ignition. Very similar, guys. This is kind of this. Pull down the decent flag, we take the break on the flag, everything's looking right price action wise. These are my orders, I'm looking to scale. Right. So I get a scale, I get another scale, and I'm sitting there looking for literally one final flush. And this is very nice, it's holding. And I think, you know what, it's just a matter of time before this thing just flushes through. And the only decision I'll have to make is how many of these orders get filled. If I get all of them, fantastic. Very often I won't, it'll flush through and maybe it'll wick back up, and I'll then have to put those to market and deal with that. No problem though, that's just by the by. But if you get all of them, then great, perfect trade. So sitting there, it doesn't quite make it. So, and then it spikes up to the high. Now, I'm not going to give back much of the profit, and this is slightly out of the scale of this is slightly different actually, because that's a little bit higher, so it wasn't quite back to break even. There was still a decent profit in the trade. Reality, that flag was up here, and I decided, I didn't drag my stop down. I still had my stop at my initial point, but when I saw this fake and it pushed back up and start to literally show lots of signs that it was reversing, I had to cut the trade. I had to take my profits, take whatever that was left out, and I say it was stopped, but it was basically stopped in the last batch, taking profits in the last batch. But the point is that I'd recognized at that point in time, that little point in time, that a reversal was underway. We'd almost hit my target, and now there's no point giving all of that back, take some profits off the table, and be happy that you've made a profitable trade. Good trade, a couple of scales here. That was still a decent profit because it was a little bit higher because of the scale, like I say. But now we're in a situation where I was forced to make that decision, and that's fine. You're never always going to get your final targets and be a hero. This isn't the way it works. But this is where we come into the re-entry point. At that point in time, I'm still thinking I need to come out of the position, but then things changed very, very quickly. And again, my thesis is still, hey, I think we're going to drive through this low. I just feel like we didn't touch it. Initial point was protecting what I got, and it was just this unique situation. So I decided to take a re-entry back in. And when we saw this, actually, the re-entry was just down here, just to be accurate for you guys. As we came out and I've stopped out of this, it was a bit of a worse price, to be honest, when I got back into it. But having seen this kind of thing where it just can't push any higher and it feels like it wants to roll again, because bearing in mind, looking at the bigger structure, the pullback is still only on 30% of the move. It was about that. So it wasn't like it was, you know, would rip up to highs again and I'm just selling again. No, this was still in the same thesis. I couldn't sit, I didn't want to sit through that side, have all that pullback. I wanted to bank it, but then conditions changed back in my favor and I got an additional setup back to what I would normally take. In other words, the fake outs the highs and then a continue and then a push down to the downside after this deeper pullback. Took the re-entry and then I finally got my targets and I managed to get some orders off into this. In actual fact, this thing just fell through the floor and I was out reasonably early, but that was my target. That's fine. I'm happy with that. The point is, the summary of this is, guys, or the point of this is that if you are out of a trade, but you get an additional setup that's part of your plan, back in the direction of the trade, and you can quantify the risk, like in this example I could take the trade here, I could quantify the risk by having a stop there. It's a separate trade. Now, even though it's a re-entry with the same broad idea, you're actually separating into two trades. So yes, it's a re-entry, but you're getting a brand new setup, a brand new opportunity to take a trade. Now, hindsight, you know, stand here and say, well, actually, you know, I kept the trade here and I doubled up when it did this. Aren't I a genius? Listen, guys, in the real world, we know we're under the pressure. At that point in time, I thought this thing was just going to rip up on me and undo all of that. So I'm like, okay, I'll take some profits on this. I've got some good scales off already. I didn't get my final. I'm still in a decent profit on this. Let me bank it. I don't know what it's doing now. It looks like it's strong. And yes, hindsight. Well, why are you selling it? Why are you coming out of a trade on a pullback? Guys, it's protecting what you've got. Sometimes that's the way it is. But having seen another setup that came in, and it just shows you how, you know, conditions can change so quickly. That's why you've got to be so flexible. Hey, listen, I could have bought that there thinking I'm going to go long and it's going to rip up to highs. Then it did that, I'd have to come out of it. So it's the same thing, just in reverse. But when you see a setup that you like, a pattern that you like, a trigger that you like within the theme and the frame of a trade you've already taken, then by all means re-enter it. As long as you can quantify the risk, as long as you're not going in out of emotion and going, I got pinged out of it. For me, I can honestly say that wasn't even anything that comes to mind. And you guys know, if you've been subscribed to the channel, you see very frank about and very honest about how sometimes how you feel you're missing out on stuff and how you control that or regulate that. You know, that's part of the whole journey of a trader. But that point it wasn't an issue for me. I was just happy to have a decent trade on that. Disappointed, of course, hadn't hit my final target, but not enough to be triggering me into making decisions. I was like, whoa, easy. It's absolutely fine. But if you're getting the re-entry signal, if you're getting a trade setup that's in line with stuff that you would take, then there's no problem in re-entering. If you're re-entering just because you fear of missing out, that's when it becomes a dangerous game. So re-entering is fine if you get it, a setup and thing, and then obviously you get your target or you get your stop, whatever happens. That's re-entering, guys. Let me thoughts on that in the comment section below. What do you think about re-entering a trade? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do you find that it's really helps your trading? Do you find that you never really do it? I have to say, it's quite rare for me to do this. Only when I've got a really kind of decent conviction on the target and I see something in line with it, will I do this? But I just thought it was worth pointing out and sharing with you guys. Right, if you like this kind of stuff, a thumbs up is appreciated. Of course, all your comments, shares, subscriptions, etc. And while you're in the description, go and check out our channel sponsor. Take care. Bye-bye.